Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to those in the West. This is AJ, your in house MetaMonk, and I would like to welcome you all to our third and very special episode of MetaMonk series called Metamorphosis. This episode is extremely special because we have three interesting metaverse visionaries who will be joining us today. And all of them are not just the visionaries, they have also said it and did it. And now what they're doing is paving the way for the world. We will learn about something very exciting today, which I'm sure that many of you may have accessed what the metaverse look like and what it could do, but something that you will see what exactly a utility metaverse could do this. Then we will have someone who is a researcher, and people are paying tickets to hear her explain what metaverse can do. And then finally, we will have a young face that will also talk about how this entire ecosystem fits in to the future. Today, it's extremely exciting as we talk about what metaverse can bring on the table. To start with, we have Brennon Williams, who is the founder and CEO of Snaptic Black Limited, the creators of Infinity Metaverse. Brennan is a multiple times published author of technical books and also have received several MVP towards awards from Microsoft for his service to the industry, as well as globally recognized leader and a most valuable professionals of the year award in 2012 and 13. With an extremely high performing experience of 28 years, Brennan has worked around the globe as a contract software engineer, CTO, and a consultant and a technical advisor to companies such as Microsoft, Motorola, Nokia, eBay, and PayPal, as well as several smaller design and user experience industries based out of London and New York. And Brennan is seen speaking regularly on the topics ranging from the experience and design, software development, metaverses, Web 3.0 applications, and AI and robotics. It is an immense pleasure, totally on my side, to invite Brennan on the stage with us. Can we have Brennan with us, please?
Hello,
Hi,
Ajay.
good afternoon, Brennan. Good to meet you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me today.
Awesome. Brennan, I have been hearing your talks and podcasts everywhere. I have been seeing white papers published, and I'm also seeing a lot of content coming from your side. How are things with you, and what are you up to right now, except everything that you have been showing everywhere?
Well, the craziness is everything sort of a bit of a race, right? So that's really what it's been about, narrowing things down, figuring out what we can release, when we can release it, and how we can release it. And that's actually, I guess, the first thing that we want to show today. I wanted to show what is our launch video here, and I'll do that in one caveat, and the fact that we actually don't officially launch until Monday, but I just wanted to give the audience a sneak preview, if you will. So bear in mind that this is all going live on Monday. This is our launch video to give you an idea of what we've been doing.
That would be fantastic. Over the last 2 weeks, we had two big announcements, and here's the third one. Go for it. Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations on this, pre-launch and teaser. I think that was fascinating. So if I understand this correctly, you were saying that you will allow people to build metaverses through your platform Orca. Is that correct?
Not quite. So that I guess that's the thing that we're trying to get out here is that what we've been building is a network, not a platform. And the reason behind this is that we wanted people to be able to build, own, and create their own metaverse experiences, just like they can with websites today. So they can host it on any public cloud hosting anywhere in the world, just like a website.
Wow, wow. So are you building kind of WordPress of the metaverses? Would you say that? Or by adding some plugins, or is it just people focused or platform focused? Or probably I should ask you, who is your target audience? Is it like B2B, B2C, and how this will contribute to the society?
Well, I guess the target audience is really, first of all, B2B and then B2C from there. As I said, we're building a network, and so we need brands and businesses and content creators to deliver experiences. And then we collectively target the consumer audiences, from those experiences. As far as the society is concerned, I think, one of our guiding principles was to make the metaverse fair. So rather than, a metaverse or metaverse experiences just being or residing on a few really big platforms or walled gardens, we wanted to, I guess, democratize the metaverse and make it so anyone could create a metaverse. They could own it completely and they could share it. As I said, just like a website on the internet today.
Wow. So democratizing the metaverse experiences, that's a very interesting area to be. And while everyone is talking about metaverse and many companies are there in market, how do you think your entire ecosystem or company or the platform or network will be different from others?
Well, I guess, when I think about it, there's probably three really key differences. Firstly, the big difference is, as we sort of are now starting to point out, is that we're a network and we're not a platform. So we're effectively a streaming infrastructure solution that's sort of powering the metaverse behind the scenes, as opposed to building a platform. The second difference there is that, we recognized a lot of the issues facing content creators and businesses. We've been building something that targets them very specifically. So that means that we do not run on any blockchains and we don't implement any crypto. And really that is because the risk profile we see at the moment is just too big for businesses. And we believe it hasn't matured enough yet for businesses to really embrace at a global scale. We've also made sure that from the start, businesses can leverage those existing processes and the existing investments they've made on their existing websites. So we wanted to allow users to be able to transition seamlessly from a metaverse experience back to a traditional website experience, and that's what you saw in the video. One part there was the user was looking at a product in a metaverse environment, a pair of boots. They want to buy it, and it transitioned that person straight back to the existing website process in order to go ahead and buy the goods. It's these sorts of things that reduce the risk for business as they want to start to transition into metaverse. Thirdly, the key differences, I guess, is that we recognized we had an opportunity to fix some things about the internet while we were trying to build the metaverse network behind it. And this starts with identification of both users and businesses. So we built a new protocol layer called the IMTP. And this lets us do some really amazing things like age restrictions and content moderation directly in the protocol layers, unlike today's internet. This means people are in control of their own data, as well as ensuring that the network itself adheres to their settings rather than content providers. We've built a new domain system that sits on top of that protocol layer. And that will provide incredible search solutions. I mean, Google and the others, they've had it pretty easy up to now, to be honest, because, HTML is basically just it's plain text. And so they've been able to scan that, but 3D environments are binary files that you can't read. So we've really had to think about and innovate on the mechanisms of search, not to change the way that search as an experience for users is, but actually change the way that search can be performed with security and all of that data protection in place. And we've got some pretty crazy things coming up for search, such as live dynamic search, which means search results are driven by what is actually happening in a metaverse at the very moment of time search occurs. So not this, old version of a site and search. So some really crazy things that we can do now with this network. Yeah.
I think this is very interesting because you gave an example of search. Lot of people were talking about that how searches in the metaverse will happen. So far we have been like easily typing something and then learning about all the information and content available, but metaverse is a 3D experience. It's so immersive that search is also very different. In fact, in one of the sessions, one of an expert gave an example of how do you search something at your home. You left the key, right? Imagine doing the similar experience in the metaverse, and you need to have very solid network and complexities built in the ecosystem so that everything can be performed very well. And I'm sure that this entire journey has not been like it must have been crazy things. So tell us about how did you come to this entire concept, and tell us about the journey what you have traveled so far.
Yeah, I think as a startup, one of the biggest traps to fall into is building a solution and then trying to find a problem for it to solve. And really, we started. I was doing a lot of R&D for some fairly big companies around metaverse and social experiences and stuff like that. But as a group, we started to look at a lot of different areas. We've got a lot of experience in crypto and blockchain and enterprise development and some very large scale sort of solutions. And we started to sort of think about building a platform, and we were thinking about some crazy stuff there. But then actually the problem occurred when we decided that how were we going to get this experience onto people's machines? And that was the aha moment, that we didn't want users to have to download some massive file. And we also didn't want users to have some crazy big gaming machine just to be able to experience it. So these were the very beginnings of the problem that we knew we had to solve, not just for us, but for everybody else. We needed to provide a solution that could stream, so users could look at stuff without having to download anything very big at all. That's what Orca is. Orca is a gateway that lets you experience this content. And so that was the problem that we set out to solve. And we just didn't want to see these big tech companies owning and sort of controlling platforms and everything else. And that's how we started. And a couple of months later, we sort of released a video. We get some platform and pieces together, and we're moving fast, put it that way.
And it seems very exciting because I think there is a complete USP that you guys are building, and especially by thinking it as a network and not a platform, that itself is very different, right? So, Brennon, tell how others can get involved with the Infinity Metaverse or this entire network or community that you're building.
Yeah, sure. Well, as I said, the site will officially launch on Monday, where people can come along and start to do things like purchase metaverse domains. But certainly for people that have the skills to build metaverses, so partners, we're launching with a partner program targeting specifically at the start service partners, people that can design, create, build. People like recruitment agents, lawyers, everybody that provides a service in the real world can provide a service in the metaverse. The second partner site is around people that want to build experiences. These are launch partners. So we would ask people to come and get involved there. Just lastly, the thing that we're talking about in terms of domains, they're purpose-driven domains in the metaverse. So .jump is the primary business domain, jump into a space. .twin is for digital twins. .fan is for people that are influencers or stars or celebrities. And .link is a personal domain. So for the very first time, personal domains will come into play here. And we've got some pretty cool scenarios later on for personal domains. But just, I guess, to announce that we're going to give away the first 10,000 .link domains, starting from Monday for people that want to register their own name as a domain as well in the metaverse. Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. I think this is so cool. And I think what I always believed is that while we are also building businesses, I think the entire community of Web 3.2, metaverses, NFT is very focused on the community itself. So whether you give this example of giving away 10,000 domains, that's such a generous thing and people would love to grab it. So for all those people who are watching us live or probably get this video, stream later on various OTT platforms, etc. 10,000 plus .link domains on Infinity Metaverse, brought to you by Brennon and his team. Thanks to the entire team, which is working very hard on this. And I wish you all the very best for this entire launch, Brennon. It's so good speaking to you. And as we speak with every speaker, we learn something very interesting about it. Democratizing the metaverse is the way how I feel this entire ecosystem will actually progress forward in the future. And I think what Infinity Metaverse will bring on the picture is incredible. So many thanks to you and all the best for this great launch that you guys are planning on Monday. And I look forward to connect with you shortly. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
joining.
Thank you. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you. So the next speaker that we have is someone who expertise in experiences. For those who know what metaverse or metaverse ecosystems are about, it is about experiences, the kind of experience they can deliver. It is not just about replacing the physical experiences into a digital platform or a website or a AR or VR gadget. It is about how do you create the digital first experience of a physical experience or activity. Our speaker is Yessei Klein. She comes with over 18 plus years of experience in leading user experience designs, researches, and psychology. Her expertise applies with cognitive principles and scientific methodology to assess human computer interaction. Wow. I just remember that yesterday, Apple got multiple approvals or patent approvals for Force Touch. And that's exactly what human computer interaction looks like. Yessei is also founder of Truly Happy DAO, woohoo, and NFT collections and a couple metaverse companies that has previously led research for eBay, Google, BMW in multiple countries. Her careers span diverse contexts, including mobile, website, VR, artificial intelligence, ML wearables in London, Sydney subway, and autonomous vehicles. So, with all my pleasure, can we have Yessei on the stage with us, please? Good afternoon, Yessei. How are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm very good. Thank you. How are you?
Awesome. Good to meet you. And, as I mentioned to Brennan as well, I think all of you as the community leader are leading the way for this entire ecosystem that we all are building. And what I was very excited about when we spoke to you initially to come on board on this platform with us is that DAO, right? A lot of people still are not sure what DAO does and why DAO is important. And I'm very glad that you are here representing Truly Happy DAO. But we'll start with the basics so that everyone knows what DAO is. Tell us, or probably if in basic languages, you can, have our audiences know what DAO is and why it is important.
Of course. Yeah. So we're a decentralized autonomous organization. That's the DAO. And we are like learning about like cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, Web3, Metaverse. And we pride ourselves on accessibility and sustainability, providing the next generation for Web3 tools and the Metaverse. The mission for us is to empower our community to create, curate, collaborate, and connect with one and another in the digital space. And we really want to create the largest and the most knowledgeable crypto community, harnessing its group's knowledge to help members learn, connect, and share. So we focus on inspiring creativity and positive social impacts through education. And we're mainly creating an ecosystem in collaboration and transparent communication with our community, because I think that's very important. And we encourage everyone to explore the Discord community, the social media channels, the educational content, and sign up for the newsletter, everything to support these organizations where we are building schools in Mexico, in Bali, in Spain. We create a NFT collection that is called Truly Hippie NFT. And yeah, I'm thrilled to share the Truly Hippie NFT project. And my team and I have been working for a long time. And it is amazing that more artists and women are coming into this space and the NFT scene and breaking the stereotypes in the industries. So for us, our mission is to bring inclusion, diversity, and belonging into the NFT space. And this means bringing more women into the NFT marketplace, like artists that are not very well known. So everyone has an opportunity. I think for me, NFT is about like how everyone can be like someone like famous, or like you can use that tool and that platform to like create anything. And truly happy, we strive to be community owned and curated, ensuring we empower our creators, like all the creators, curators, collectors, all the artists and communities to tap into the sustainable income streams and creatively engage with their patrons and create lasting impact for their causes that they care about. I think
Very.
everyone.
No, I think this is so noble and very interesting cause that you guys are working on. There is a myth, which I've probably heard from a lot of people, that NFTs are not for everyone. I mean, and where you are talking about on the contradiction note, the truly happy NFTs about a cause. How do you see this? I mean, what's your reaction to this?
Sorry. Yeah, I think it's for everyone, but also people have gotten crazy over like non-fungible tokens, the NFTs. And in 2021, the NFT marketplace reported a total market value of 40 billion. And
Wow.
even if you fall into the 98% of people that don't know much about cryptocurrency, chances are that you probably have heard a thing or two in passing, like about NFTs. So yeah, you have probably have become across the idea of NFT are like overpriced GPA, like images, files, and you might have been exposed to viral videos claiming that people are spending insane amount of money on like monkeys or like images. And this sounds like a plausible explanation of what NFTs are, and certainly has an element of truth in it. But I think it's like very different for everyone. I think everyone should jump into it. That's why we create the this like education platform and hub, so everyone can come with zero knowledge of anything, like jump in, learn from the basics, and then keep building. Like if you are really interested in this, like keep getting involved in more projects. And like there is a lot of like scams, so we like we are very careful about that. We're like very um, educative into those spaces because there's a lot of young people and like teenagers coming to it, so we don't want that all their savings are gone. Like yeah, I think it's for everyone that is into like another way
Yeah,
of
I mean,
income, another way of.
correct, correct. I mean, I totally see that you're not happy with board Ape Yacht Club NFT collection as such, because it doesn't make any sense. And I am not surprised either, because a lot of people are constantly thinking that why would someone buy $1 million NFT? And not just that, Metacoven, based out of Singapore, and the entity has bought, I don't know, tens of $1 million of an NFT created by people live, and crazy everywhere. And unless there is a proper utility, and there are also very interesting use cases out there. A shoe company partnered with e-commerce platform to make sure that NFTs can be used to, I would say, challenge the counterfeited product which are being sold on the e-commerce platform. That's such a great example. A car company, a car aggregation platform, is working with customers and the car drivers to create transparency among the price which is shown to the customers with the car drivers who are driving on the platform. And that's a very interesting use case of how NFTs and its examples, how utilities can be created and all. And there is a lot more psychology behind all of this which is happening. Of course, the consumer psychology is there, which is like, get some great deals, get the transparency, know more about how the entire ecosystem works. And you have spent a lot of time in learning psychology, and also educating and teaching others about this entire thing. So my question to you would be, psychology meets the metaverse. How is this combination going on?
It's very interesting. I think a lot of people are a bit scared or skeptical about like the metaverse and the potential impacts of the metaverse on human behaviors, and we don't know all these impacts or effects or like consequences. But behavioral economies can help explore some of the possibilities, and I think there is gonna be like there's a lot of addictions now to the social media, for example, or like a lot of people that are staying in their houses. So I guess like a lot of time there's gonna be like addictions on from smartphones and social media platforms to like all these like level of depressions and mostly worrying about like the teenagers and like young generations. And we do a lot of A/B testing as well to do a lot of like uh, design like the features of like what is going to be the future and like all of the push notifications and all the because everyone is trying to maximize the engagement on all these products that we are creating at the end of the day. But like we all need to be very careful about the polarization and the disconnection that we can get into from the real world to the digital world. And yeah, psychology is going to be a big part of it in all like a lot of times some people use it for persuasion, a lot of people use it for manipulation, or will be like misinformation or critical thinking. So it's on us to use it for a good purpose or like
No,
evil
absolutely. I
purpose,
think
but hopefully it's for good.
absolutely. I think purposefulness is the essence to the metaverse experience. I always give this an example of a word from Prakrit called Anekant Vad. That means, in English, multi perspective. And when you connect purpose to this multi perspective, you actually end up seeing what metaverse can do. And that's exactly what the basics of or fundamentals of building the metaverses would be, right? And you talked about the positive psychology. See, we are working on a project called Channelverse, which is an IP of Almond Solutions. And what we are trying to do here is to use those things, or probably convert those activities which can be done much more efficiently in the metaverse than how they are being performed in the real world right now. For example, educating a channel partner, all of that used to be done with the thousands of people in the sales field, which used to go and talk to these channel partners about the products and all of those sort of things. And now this entire activity is being done in the metaverse, where it saves time for brands. It is much more less of a cost, and also it gives a lot more data about the experience that these channel partners are getting, or probably experiencing with this entire ecosystem. So, and psychology is the core behind it. So Yesi, I think what you said is absolutely right on spot, and it is very important that everyone understand the psychology of the psychology behind this entire stuff. Yeah, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think everyone needs to be a bit cautious about everything. All the products that we're using, we need to be like, why we're using it, the purpose, and like also why is something free. It's like they're getting data out of us, or they're getting like advertisement, or like we all need to be very like careful about what we put in our data, or like scams, or like fake, or like artificial intelligence that they've been using to like give us the best, of course, or what they want to sell us. So yeah, it's like
Great.
how we can get conscious of that subconscious and then consciousness.
Great, great. Yasi, it's so good to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining. And I think it's very important that you keep on sharing these ideas. And we would love to hear from you again, in future. And we will also speak to you in the panel discussion in a couple of minutes from now. Many thanks for sharing your insights, and I look forward to connect again.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining. So, okay, so that was very interesting. We had a network which is helping the ecosystem democratize the metaverse, and we have how psychology, could change the way how this entire ecosystem is built. I am super proud to invite the next speaker with us. She is Dr. Martha Boeckenfeld. And what to tell about Dr. Martha? She has extensive, and many of you might have already seen her speaking on various forums and probably sharing a lot of content in form of white papers and educational material that she shares on various platforms. Her experience comes in the form of economic, dynamic ecosystems, digital businesses, transformation, the metaverse, and customer experience. She's a thought leader, and I would not surprise if we'll call her the meta leader herself, who is very much passionate about tech, blockchain, and the metaverse, and strongly believes that the key factors of dynamically driving transformation are the mindset of digital leaders and the power of innovation to develop the execute forward thinking concepts. Can we have Dr. Martha Boeckenfeld on the stage with us, please? Good afternoon, Dr. Martha. How are you?
So I'm very well. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for this very colorful and also very pleasant introduction. There's a lot what you said. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining. And Dr. Martha, we have had a very quick conversation a couple of days ago, and I was very intrigued with the way how your thoughts were coming, and we would love to know more. We want to keep this conversation pretty candid. So we talked about metaverse, and I would love to have you explain what do you think of metaverse, and coming from the kind of experience in research, academia, and industry experience that you have. Tell us about what do you think of this metaverse, and is this the future?
Yeah, metaverse is definitely the future. But then, as you correctly point out, the question is always, what is the metaverse? And there are so many definitions and so many experts. You could almost say there is a metaverse there, is a metaverse not there. So for me, I think it's quite visionary still, the metaverse, but it's important to understand the different pieces. And some of the pieces also Brennon has been talking to because of his new solution in the network. So what are those pieces? The first one, everyone agrees, is the future of the internet. And then also it's persistent. So it's always there. You go away from your desk, it's still there. Then it's also interoperable and it's interconnected. And I think that's very important. What Brennan mentioned as well. Now we have walled gardens, which means if I have an avatar in Roblox or an avatar in Decentraland, I cannot freely operate it, and I have to always set up something new. That's, I would say, pretty annoying to say the least, but I also would love to have a digital identity. I can travel with this in a passport like we have in the real world. And then comes the real most important, this interconnection. Also, what that means is, as you have talked about, as Brennan has talked about, as also Yessei has talked about, is experience. So if we think about our, I would say, favorite person, at least in my view, Steve Jobs, He always said you have to start with experience and then work backwards to technology. And when we talk about the experiences, it's not only about the experiences in a virtual world, but it's really this connection between the real world and the virtual world. And we have a lot of examples already now which go beyond Bored Apes. Also, even Bored Apes is not just the picture, if we take that as an example, so the NFT, but they have done, I would say, a pretty good job. Obviously, you also have a lot of criticism, but in terms of what the Bored Ape is looking for, they're really looking for creating a community. And that I find very interesting. So how do you create a community? How do you connect with the real world? How do you make this fluid? And Bored Ape has done this with festivals, pop-up restaurants, with connecting everything. So you have, for example, your NFT. Now they have a partnership with, or you can do that with Tark Hoya. They offer, you can put tiers. So what we sometimes forget is also this connection in the metaverse, this socializing is very important. Or when you work together, or when you talk together right now, it's really lovely. We can talk together, but we only have a 2D version. So also maybe it's not as nice if we talk as our avatars, because avatars are still a little bit like Playmobil. Someone told me the other day. I don't think so, because if you have an avatar, it's more your self-extension. But if you talk about digital twin, also Brennon has mentioned it as part of his solution, it's a digital twin of yourself. It can be created already now with MetaHuman. It all comes, this technology comes from, also he mentioned Unreal Engine 5. So you can create something realistic, yes, but I would also make this strong plaidoyer for thinking beyond our realistic boundaries that you have mentioned, because what we love to do is, what are the new experiences? So it's not only the experience we have today and we just mirror them, but it goes far beyond this.
Very interesting. And you talked about a couple of things. We will touch base on various of this, but I want to just talk about digital identity piece that you talked about. It's very important that your digital identity represents you. In fact, as per a survey which is done globally, about 70% of people who were surveyed, 70% of that said that digital identity is equally or more important than their physical identity. And that's a very big number, considering that more than two-thirds of the entire survey audiences believe that their digital identity is very important. And as you talked about interoperability, that becomes even more important. So, like for example, I have my own, I have my own physical identity, and even if I'm going to a stadium, I might wear a blazer, and if I'm going to, probably a play school, I might wear, a casual Bermuda. But the eventual identity remains same. And as I talked about that, right now, most of the companies and projects that we hear about, and I'm very excited about what Infinity Metaverse and branding team is doing, but most of the projects are thinking that how can I create a similar experience that you had in the physical or real world? What we particularly want to, or I think we should be focusing on, creating a digital first or metaverse first experience of those activities, not a replacement. Because I firmly believe, Dr. Martha, and we would love to hear your inputs on that as well, that it cannot replace something which was real and physical, but metaverse have a massive opportunity. Just imagine the extension of what it could do to the physical experience that we are doing right now. And by adding digital identity and of course the interoperability, it could go to the next level. Second is, to your point that you talked about, many of these brands, and we are working with many of them globally, they are taking metaverse as a marketing opportunity, and which is pretty dissatisfying and disappointing to to people like me, because we feel that if you just think of marketing as a use case for metaverse, you're very short-sighted. Metaverse as an ecosystem gives you a very long-term opportunity. Imagine if someone would have thought about internet in 1995 as a marketing opportunity, then we wouldn't have seen how the industry is now developed today. That's the same thing with metaverse, right? I mean, Dr. Martha, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely right. I think the company who is very advanced in their thinking and also in their testing, you can say, because for all companies now, it's more like a test bed because you check different experiences, is Nike. Nike is extremely advanced because, as an example, they have in their shops, you can train their, test their things, but they're already half virtual, half real. And the latest they have done a week ago is this beautiful hoodie. I don't know if you have seen that, with wings, with augmented wings. So if you're part of the community, obviously also scarcity community plays a role, and you had a clone sneaker, a virtual sneaker. They have, as you know, bought RFTK, which is a native digital company. And also that makes a big difference. What you were talking about is all the companies who are not native digital. So what they have done is, when you had a clone sneaker, you become, you will get, obviously have to apply and so on and so forth. You become an NFT ship with a digital hoodie. That's not, fine. And you have wings in the digital hoodie, fine. That's also not what it makes the big difference. The big difference is then how you convert this in the real world. So I think every one of us has dreamed at some point in time, maybe sometimes we forgot our dreams now, is to have this virtual wings around you in all colors. Yeah, and you will get it in September. They can get the real hoodie, and you have augmented reality, so you can have it like this. So this is more, I would say, the community, the fan factor. This is obviously not really changing the society, but with that kind of technology, you can do the same in a very, very helpful way for people in healthcare. Healthcare is one of the biggest opportunities in the metaverse, and there are already a lot of companies working on that, and also realizing when you are in a surgery or so, then you can work with augmented reality, you can see better what this is all about. You can even train in the health world, I would say. So you don't want surgeons to train on real people. It's much better they train on virtual people. And the more you get into this connection between the real world and the virtual world, the more you have also the benefits of that. So also this is the kind of experience, telemedicine, you have different doctors there who talk to you. You can check your entire body with a digitization. We already all have for the health app, most likely. So a lot of people use Apple for that purpose. And if you think in the same way we have talked about the metaverse, the interconnection of all the data and the interconnection of everything we have as technology and the convergence of all that technology, it's basically limitless. That is no longer the sky is a limit.
I think it's very exciting, about what metaverse can bring on the table. And what you are talking about, the true utilities of metaverse. I was speaking to one of the medical associations in US last week, and what they said is that these surgery trainings cannot be done on live people, right? And so far they were done on the dead bodies that they used to acquire from, I don't know where do they get that. But one of the challenge that they had is that there is a massive difference in terms of how organs work when someone is alive or live versus organs in the dead body. Most of them are not even working, even just after a few minutes of, or probably an hour, someone died, right? And just take that picture into metaverse and imagine if we could create a meta-human body where doctors can operate in the metaverse and learn about how these things, how these organs and blood and, I don't know, various other things. I have 3 doctors in my family. I might need to use some of the keywords that they use. But how they can learn surgery by not even using a body, which actually reacts the way how a body will react.
And they already doing that. I mean, there is already a test. I mean, they're already doing that in terms of testing. There are already classes in the metaverse, in the healthcare, in the healthverse, and there are obviously many, many more possibilities. It's also already done on athletes, that you create a digital twin. And then you check out how to help them with their body and how to improve performance. But that could be also done with normal people, so that you help people who are sick. So you sometimes can't find out why. And if you are able to create a digital twin, it's much easier. And maybe also what has already been done as well during COVID vaccination. How does it work? How will the body react? Obviously, there is a lot of more research necessary, but we would also understand better what the long-term effects of certain course are. I think it's very, very important for us. This health care is one, in my view, one of the most important. Then the other one I'm very excited about is NVIDIA, because they have created an omniverse.
Yeah.
Omniverse is the digital twin, and the latest they are looking for now, which are working with all the technology they already have, is a digital twin of the Earth. And that's absolutely beautiful in the sense that if you use it for creating that digital twin, which they have in their mind, which they're working on, for seeing climate changes, for helping to understand where there is a tsunami. Sometimes we are too late and sometimes we don't know. I mean, we also know how terrible it will be from a lot of research in 10, 20 years if we don't stop it. That's another thing. If you can make people more aware, and what we know from psychological point of view is that if you are in an immersive experience, you feel much more than if someone is telling you. It's the same like if you are in a dream and you dream about something, it's like frightening sometimes. And you could do the same in a positive sense, that you say, okay, let's train people with climate change. Let's make sure, okay, this is your CO2 footprint. Now you go into the metaverse and let's see how this plays out. Yeah, so you have specifically addressed. So a lot of it is about educating, training people, and then, as we already said, the omniverse obviously also creating full digital and virtual factories like BMW, Siemens, and so on are building with NVIDIA. So there are lots of things which are making this world better, but we also, I should not forget what also Yessei has mentioned, that you have to make sure that technology is not being misused, which we always had in our society, and which we always had through the generations. But that's why I think it's so important we have more people coming on to understand, to shape it. And it's not only the big leaders who shape it, it's everyone who can be part of this.
And absolutely, that's why we are calling Metaverse is a community-driven ecosystem. It cannot be just run by one company or one big name across the globe, and then they define how it should be done. And that's the beauty of this entire thing. Is I think this is the perfect time we should invite our other speakers also online to have a quick conversation around it. So let's have, if Brennan is here. Yeah, there you go. Hi, Brennan. Good to see you. And let's see if Yessei is still here. Can we have Yessei? I think she'll be coming online very soon. So, Dr. Martha, thank you so much for these insights that you have been sharing. And I am always very excited to see what you're writing and what's coming in front of us, because your thoughts are very, community focused and are driving the way how it should be seen. Not what's happening is the right, but how it should be done. And we have Brennan, who is right. I love the way how he said that let us democratize the metaverse experiences. I have a question coming on to you from one of my friend Alok, and he's saying that, and we'll start with Dr. Martha first, and then we'll go to Brennan. Does it make sense to have a digital identity platform where a user can create and manage own avatar and then export the current avatar as NFT to other platforms for display? Basically, what we are trying to think is, can we have a unified avatar platform? Is this a good start, Dr. Martha?
Yeah, I think it's about what Brennan also said, the ownership. So the digital identity should be mine. Like you have a passport to go somewhere, and you should control it. So no one else should really control it. And in that way, yes, from my point of view, if it's an avatar or a digital twin or anything else, you should be able to control it, you own it, and you travel through the metaverse world. That's my personal view.
Great, great. Brennon, what do you think?
Well, absolutely, I agree. I guess from the technical perspective here, and then this is the sort of differences of it. And interesting, the challenges of doing this interlock with the concept of experience, right? Some platforms will, or some experiences may want your avatar to be able to swim. Some you might want to be able to fly. Others can drive cars, and the technical challenges of implementing that sort of that model, if you will, from a base avatar perspective, they're almost solved. I want to say they're almost solved, right? The way that we looked at this is to say that we don't know what the best solution is for avatars. All we know is that for a lot of user feedback, and as you said yourself, AJ, people said to us they wanted to, they have one profile, which is their true identity. And that true identity is not exposed anywhere. We need to get away from the business models of selling people's data and all of that sort of stuff. But what they did want is an experience-based avatar that matches the context of what they're experiencing. They want to be able to go to work and be in an avatar that is dressed in suit and tie, but then switch that avatar out for maybe a creature or something completely different when they go and meet their friends somewhere else. So the mechanisms that we have implemented in the network is to enable exactly that, to enable people to switch avatars out, and they can build as many collections as avatars as they like through the suppliers of the avatars. They can switch them out and they can transfer them at runtime. They don't have to come back out, make a decision. They can just do it then and there. And that, I think, is the whole belief around what can I do with an avatar? How is it mine? But at the same time, protect my true identity from the exposure of what an avatar represents.
Yeah,
No,
I think that's exactly the point. So it's the ownership of your data, that it belongs to you, that you can use whatever you want. Obviously, also there's a whole discussion around how the avatar should look like. Is it looking like you or someone else, and what does it mean and what does it do? Also, in terms of, are you changing then if you are maybe are not the person you represent? That is a totally different discussion. But from my point of view, that's exactly. So I'm very, very excited to see your going live on Monday, and I will definitely have a look. And just what we didn't mention so far, AJ, if I might. Obviously, I'm the Dean and Partner of a Metaverse Academy, so I find this talk extremely exciting, and I will invite you to us as well. What I think is incredible important, that people get educated, people get trained, that the future leaders also understand. And we should not presume that everyone understands what we are talking about today, because we already, I would say, when we talk about all these terms, very advanced, but we need to take everyone on the journey, with us on the journey, which I find is incredibly important. So that's one of the parts we do there. And the other thing is, which is important, is I got this notion also from you. A lot of companies are just jumping into
yes.
They have no strategy, they have no connect. And that's the other thing we are trying to help companies with, to say, yes, we would love to jump with you now, but let's take a step back. Let's think about what's your strategy, what you want to achieve, what are the experiences, and not just the push of product. So it's really what we all talked about today, is the experiences are the most important.
Right. And I think this entire metaverse, the reason why this entire exists is to deliver the best of human experiences in a digital form. It is not just about delivering anything which is out there and then put it on a website or a 3D world which makes you look like cartoon. Yeah, that's all good. But does it actually solve a challenge? Is it something which is worth looking at it, and is it worth spending time and thinking about it? And I do agree with you where you said it is not just about jumping on the bandwagon, if I would say the metaverse bandwagon, but there are also very couple of companies who are thinking extremely strategically about it, and they're thinking that how these utilities in the metaverse could probably save cost to them in a longer run, could give them better opportunities to engage their customers or consumers or channel partners. I am working right now with a food and bev company, one of the biggest in the world, and they are thinking that how they can connect with their hundreds of thousands of retailers who are selling their products, and the brand is thinking how they can educate them, engage them, and probably turn them to a more loyal customer of the brand. And if we will be able to deliver such kind of utilities through metaverse, then it's a big opportunity. We have Jesse who has joined us again. So Jesse, welcome back on the platform. We were talking about the identity, and I think all of this, and why I was very excited speaking to you, because all of this has a massive psychology going on in the back end. In fact, every human experience is answerable with psychology, right? Tell us about, and probably I'll start this question with Jesse this time. you know Brands are thinking about metaverse as a marketing. What are the panel's thought about how they should be thinking, and what should be the steps in terms of building their metaverse strategy, and how they should be thinking about it? So Yessei, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Brennan, and then to Dr. Martha.
Yeah, do you mean like in terms of stores or like clothing or brands or anyone?
Yes, anything. So the question is, what should be the right steps for brands to build their metaverse strategy? What they should do, what they should not be doing, or any suggestions that you may have.
Yeah, I think the most important is to know the target audience, like who are they, and it's probably totally different to who they used to be, like in the like real world. And also, there's like a lot of these two types of. A lot of times I build products as a UX UI designer, and like for me, it's like the very like people that they don't know anything about it, and people that are very knowledgeable about it. So there's a big gap between it, and it's a very difficult and engaging and challenging, because it's like like we're building this product, we're building this strategy, we're building this branding strategy or like marketing strategy for who, and we don't know yet like if we need to explain the whole process from the beginning, or like it's like more advanced words. Or so for me it's like getting to know the target audience first, and then a lot of digital. Everything is digital, so everything needs to be like social media, or like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Discord is a big one, and promoting all of that. And then a lot of YouTube people are like doing all of that, TikTok, so all of these channels as well. And then also like making everything very like animations and 3Ds, and spending a lot of time into that and money.
Great. No, I think that makes total sense. Knowing your audience is extremely important, because without knowing your customer, consumer audience, I don't think so how you could even think of delivering a metaverse, or even forget about metaverse experience to them. Thank you so much, Yessei. Brennan, what do you think? What your thoughts are, or what do you suggest?
So when we already have been speaking to businesses quite a lot in the research, and we start off by sort of saying, okay, it's great and it's wonderful, and they get all everyone gets excited about the ideas and the vision, but it's important to bring the reality back to the table pretty quickly and set expectations and say, you're not going to go out and build a giant city, for example, in the metaverse day one to start off with. And why are you not going to do that? The most likely reason is that you have no idea what the user experience is going to be like, and you have no idea how people are going to interact in a community mechanism. So we saw this happen at the start of the smart mobile phone era, where businesses had sort of started to come from maybe designing applications. They started to get their heads around websites, and then all of a sudden these smartphones were being thrown at them. And it took a whole different way of learning and understanding how people interact with a mobile phone screen, even down to things like gestures and where things were placed on screens, getting some forms of standardization in these interfaces. So it takes time for best practices to surface. And it's a whole different kettle of fish when you're not just showing a screen at somebody, when you have people as crowds and groups interacting with each other. Those experiences are completely different. So we say to businesses, let's start by looking at your existing website. Look at your homepage experience and say, let's take one of the goals of your homepage and think about how can we slowly transition that as a very first part of a metaverse experience and transition that into your existing experiences. So you can start to learn as your audience is learning these experiences at the same time without completely destroying or eating your existing business. It's all about risk management for businesses. And it really is, it's an exciting process, but it's one that I think businesses really need to just stop and work through this with strategy and good planning, not just the view of marketing, but what is the business plan that is going to make the metaverse experiences work for the business, but more importantly, for the customers. That's really what it all comes down to.
I think that's absolutely bang on there, because it is very important about knowing who you are right now and then thinking about how you could do or become something different than who you are. And there is a there's a journey that every brand has to take about how this should be strategized in the future. Dr. Martha, over to you. You have been talking about strategizing this entire thing, and now the question comes to you. What do you suggest for those brands who want to build their metaverse strategy, and what should be their key steps that they should be planning?
Yeah, I think it's very much along the lines Brennon and Yessei have voiced here. But I think before we talk about the audience and what you do there, it's very important to take a step back again. And then sometimes the truth comes out, because what we do is we ask brands and companies we work with, what do you really stand for? So what's your purpose? And the purpose is not just some fluffy it's really something, how do you change people's life and add value to their life? And that's a really bold question. And some of the companies, or most of the companies, obviously nowadays, they think about it. They have it even publicly stated. There goes a lot of thought and love and care into this, but you still need to make this real. Yeah. So before we go into virtual, think about your real purpose and what you're trying to do. And I've just seen that Caroline is on this call. She just wrote, I have seen. So I want to mention her business case, because it's exactly that. So I come from finance, and finance is for me the most exciting, not for maybe for everyone from the finance industry. And Caroline also and her team has been thinking about how to help people with finance, and not the usual Revolut, N26, Nubank, or anything, but what you could do. And I think they found a beautiful, real way how to do that. So a lot of people struggle with imagination where they want to go and what this means. So what they have done, they have created something called LifeSite. So you go to the app and say, I want to be really retired. I'm now 30. I want to retire with 40, or I want to have a house. So they create a virtual world where you know where to go, because you see, this is a house. But not only that, you obviously have to provide all the data so that the company can help you, the platform can help you to evaluate how you get there. So maybe in 10 years' time, I want to have a big villa on the family dating, maybe finding the right wife or partner or whatever you need, or man might not be part of this equation. But just the thinking about how to achieve your goals in life in a very smart way, as we have just discussed before. If you are immersive, you have a better view. And secondly, I think Yessei will confirm that from a psychological point of view, everything, and we learn this in meditation, also in coaching, if you have imagined something you really, really want to do, it's most likely also you will achieve it. And then if you have someone coaching you, helping you, how you do this also from the financial point of view, I think this is really great value also for people on the street, for retail customers. It solves a lot of the problems they have. It solves the problem of how I save and all this, because you have an incentive. You want to go there, you want to retire, you want to be at the beach or whatever you want. Yeah?
I think that's very exciting. When we had the conversation with Caroline, she was also here in one of the episodes. Lifeties is extremely interesting platform. And when she was explaining, and in fact, she did a demo to our community as well, what we learned is that planning your life is extremely important, but we don't know how to do that. Like you exactly gave an example at 40, if you want to retire, what do you need to do today to make sure that you retire happily at 40? Or in fact, her examples were even more interesting. She said that, do you want to get married in the age of 30? Well, before you get married, you have to date probably a couple of people. You have to spend money for doing that. And did you even counted how much money you would spend? If you're planning for a kid, there is a lot more expenses that you'll have to spend on their nappies or huggies or whatever it is. We don't plan any of those things, and lifestyles help it. So yeah, Caroline, a big meta high five to you. Thank you for joining here. That's all from our side. But before we close off, I want to thank Dr. Martha, Brennon, and Yessei, all three of you, to giving us the opportunity to invite you, as well as having you on the stage is extremely valuable to the community. And Dr. Martha, thank you so much for your invitation for us to join us with you at the Metaverse Academy. We would love to be part of it. And I would love to, have MetaMonks become a partner at the Metaverse Academy, and also on behalf of Armand, we will be very happy to.
Brennan, you and Yessei, you too, please, yeah, because we create a system of really people who can help and support.
Absolutely. I have already taken the liberty to say yes on behalf of Brennon and Yessei to you. And before we shut up, we have, our Meta Deva, as I call her, Alicia, who joined us now. And Alicia, as I know, she has been speaking to all of you and helping us coordinate this entire session. Thanks, Alicia, for making this possible over the last 3 to 4 weeks since we incepted this entire concept of MetaMonks. And I know you have been spending a lot of time on this, connecting with either Dr. Martha or Brennon or this entire community. Many thanks to you for organizing and leading it from the front, Alicia. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alicia. You are our diva, meta diva, as they say.
Thank you, Dr. Martha.
Awesome. So that's all from our side. Brennon, Martha, Dr. Martha, and Yessei, Alicia, everyone, thank you so much for joining. And I look forward to connect with you soon, probably in the real world, if I happen to travel to your locations, or in the metaverse where we are already. Thank you, and all the best to all of you, and we'll connect soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
Bye.